Well, our next guest is taking on a challenge that not many people can imagine even attempting. 7 marathons in 7 days on 7 different continents.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
Runner and content creator Iain Ward is known as the King of Chemo, and that's because he's doing all of this and more with terminal brain cancer. As Iain faces an incurable disease, he's on a mission to raise the most amount of money for cancer research ever. So Iain, welcome to New York Living. Great to have you here.
Thanks for having me on.
Burning question, do you run with the crown or not?
During marathons, yes. I actually wear the crown a lot around the house just because I got curly hair and it gets in the way, and sometimes I forget and I'll open the door to, like, you know, the postman and be like, oh wait, I forgot to take this off.
Oh my goodness, tell us a little bit about your story. When were you diagnosed with cancer?
So I was diagnosed with cancer about a little bit over 4 years now. And it was because I was doing a medical trial just for cash, cold hard cash. And then within that medical trial, they always make sure that they, whoever they're dealing with is of perfect health. Yeah. And by a freakish amount of luck, I was doing an MRI scan on my head, and they said, okay, you actually have what seems to be a benign brain tumor.
Oh my goodness.
And then they were like, okay, yeah, the next thing you have to do is go up and have a second scan, and we'll follow up on that. And they do it in a certain way where they're able to tell more about the tumor. And on the second scan, they were like, okay, this is not actually benign. This has grown significantly since the last time you had a scan. And so the chances of it being cancerous are very, very high. Wow. And so from there, it was okay, yeah. Within a month, I was under the knife, having a craniotomy and going through radiotherapy and chemotherapy. The works. The works. Yeah.
What was your life like up until that moment?
In a way, not that different. Everything that I kind of do right now is what I previously did as a fitness class instructor, except now I just have a camera in front of it and advertise a bit more. But it wasn't really much different in terms of what I would do with my sort of daily activities.
Well, when you hear terminal cancer, people would think, oh, you know, you give up, you're just, you know, I don't want to go through all of this. But you have so much strength. Where do you find that strength?
Well, again, to go back to the freakish amount of luck that I have, like one of my doctors suggested that it's like you're very unlucky, but you're also extremely lucky because people in general who go in for brain surgery and brain scans, they have symptoms. I didn't. So the only reason it was discovered was because I was doing that MRI for the medical trial. And so again, the chances of, like, I was 30 at the time, it's not a common thing for 30-year-olds. The people who find that out are usually in their 60s, they're at retirement, and they're kind of like, you know, okay, I'm retiring, I'm going to go for a full body scan, check for everything. That's for the people with no symptoms find that out. So for a 30-year-old, it's just unheard of. And so he's like, right, you're actually incredibly lucky for being so unlucky. And so not having symptoms is a way to just sort of make sure that my momentum and my sort of motivation is, it's difficult to sort of contemplate when you don't have the symptoms to complain about.
Right. Are you cancer-free right now? No. No. You still have brain cancer?
Yeah.
So what is the, I can run 10 miles, and when I'm done, I don't want to talk to anyone. I am in bed for a week. You are running a marathon, which for those of you keeping score at home is 26.2 miles. Yep. How do you do this? Are you medicated? Do you see a doctor? Is there a physician running with you?
So at the moment, I'm not on any medication, and so even though it's terminal brain cancer, meaning that they can't just sort of, say if it's lung cancer, they can kind of hit you really hard with the chemotherapy and they can really go for it. And that's like kind of part of the reason when I was being explained about the situation with brain cancer, I was like, okay, cool. So my therapy isn't actually going to be as intense as most cancer patients are going to get through. So I knew that there was going to be like a kind of a stereotype that I could go against, because it's like, you're going to be able to physically do things because we can't actually hit you as hard with the chemotherapy, because it's the most precious part of the entire body. It's the brain. It's the brain. And so it's like, all right, well then that's going to make a good story then. If I'm a cancer patient, people have an association with that already. And so if I'm running a marathon, people are going to be, wait, that's not what they're meant to do. They're meant to be in bed.
Right. I mean, look at you. You just finished the Berlin Marathon. You're headed to Chicago this weekend. You're coming back here in November for the New York City Marathon. Wow, seriously. How are you going to do that? How are you feeling now?
Just one foot in front of the other. Marathons are not as hard as people sort of have in their mind, because what people often think about is that running a marathon means that you're not able to stop. If you actually go to a marathon, most people stop. They keep walking, they take breaks, they take water breaks. I always like unless you're going to really go for a fast time, I liken it to like, you know, a 14-hour shift in a job you don't like. It is. You're just like, oh God, I'm bored of this.
Can we put that map back up? This is the Great World Race.
Yeah.
So this is what we were talking about: 7 races in 7.
Yeah.
Sir, what? King,
Ooh,
that is great. What's happening here?
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's happening here?
So we start off in South Africa as a kind of a base, because it's all down to the weather of Antarctica.
Right.
So we're kind of based in South Africa. Then when the weather is okay, then we fly over and it begins. We go Antarctica on a plane. We sleep on the plane because we have to keep it within a 24-hour sort of
window,
period of time. Yeah. And then back to Cape Town, over to Perth, Istanbul, because that's actually the border city of both Asia and
Europe. I like it.
And then over to South America, into Colombia, and then finishing off in Miami. Back to
305, 305 worldwide.
Yeah.
What do you? I know. I am incredulous. What's on your playlist? Do you listen to music?
Yeah. So like the Chemical Brothers, the Prodigy, it changes around. Which one are you more of a fan of?
I don't have anything. I listen to a lot of preteen pop rock kind of stuff.
Taylor Swift and all the rest. Beyonce.
Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Do you have a routine, a morning routine before you run?
I have one, but it's just basically kind of make the back of my legs work more than the front of my legs, because it's just meant to be like, you look at a runner and it's like, you're not running quite right. No one runs quite right. Even Olympians don't run quite right, but it's about trying to get it as much as possible into the balance of using the whole body rather than like, leaning with this shoulder more.
What is your team of doctors saying about all this?
Oh, they're fine. Yeah, I never actually told them about the.
I didn't tell them. That's.
I didn't. Like one of the first things that I sort of came across with like the that sort of situation was like I was talking to one of the nurses who was doing my radiotherapy. And I was like, "Is it okay if I train during chemo and radiotherapy?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, that's fine."
Right.
And I was like, "If I run down to the actual hospital, is that fine?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I was expecting to be like.
You neglected to say, "Is it okay if I run 26.2 miles 7 days straight?" Your secret.
Well, that's after the fact.
Oh,
that's 4 years after the chemo and the.
Well, you're an inspiration.
Yeah,
truly.
Thanks very much.
And we wish you the best with your health.
If you want to join him, if you want to donate, scan the QR code on your screen to donate. Head over to Iain's Instagram and TikTok at the King of Chemo. Congratulations.
I thought you meant that QR code. I was
or that.
You picked up on that quick.
Scan his pack.